Up on Network Africa. Senegal opposition calls for official election results to be delayed. UN mission says it regrets decision of DRC to expel its spokesperson. Plus, mobs attack homes of alleged illegal miners in Johannesburg. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Teniola Shibowale. We begin in Senegal, where the opposition has called for the official publication of election results of Sunday's parliamentary election to be postponed. The Electoral Commission is due to make a formal announcement today, but the leader of the opposition coalition alliance, Dethi Fall, says a postponement would give it time to identify irregularities. Another alliance official cited alleged fraud at polling stations in the northern regions. On Monday, both the opposition alliance and the governing coalition of President Macky Sall claimed victory on the basis of partial results. And South Sudanese leaders have signed a roadmap extending the transitional period of their peace agreement for 24 months, starting from the 22nd of February 2023. President Salva Kiir and his former arch-rival Riek Machar, now first vice president, and other signatories signed the new roadmap in the capital, Juba. The extension of the transitional period means South Sudan will not hold long-awaited elections in February next year. The heads of missions of the US, the UK and Norway in the country did not attend the event because, according to them, all the relevant parties to the agreement had not been included in consultations. The current transitional period expires on the 22nd of February 2023, and it was expected to culminate with a general election, but the leaders have decided to extend the terms of the agreement again. The unity government in South Sudan was formed in February 2020, but is yet to create a unified national army of up to 83,000 troops, which was a key pillar of the peace deal. And still on electoral matters, some 22 million voters in Kenya will pick a new president, lawmakers and county officials on August the 9th. However, the election is overshadowed by a drought that has left 4 million people dependent on food aid, while Russia's invasion of Ukraine drives up global grain and fuel prices.
In Kenya's northern Samburu County, severe droughts has forced herders to migrate hundreds of kilometers in search of pasture and water, meaning some will not vote in the elections. People are more focused on trying to save their animals and livelihoods than on casting their ballots.
It's very challenging to find one. Now that mostly when you go out there to look for a job, they will tell you that even we laid our staffs. In case we'll be having opportunity, we'll consider our laid staffs first. So it's a bit a challenge. Actually, the economy is so bad. The cost of living is high, extremely very high. Actually, right now, what we can only manage is just to put the food on our tables on a daily basis. We can't do anything apart from that, just to pay bills and everything. The little amount we make, we can't make any progress with it.
Debt levels have also surged to 9 trillion shillings, which is 67% of the GDP, from just 2 trillion, which is 40% of the GDP, when President Uhuru Kenyatta was elected. His government has modernized Kenya's crumbling century-old railway network and built more kilometers of paved roads than the previous 4 administrations combined. Kenyatta, who must stand down after serving 2 terms, says borrowing, including $8 billion from China, funded much-needed infrastructure and helped spur development. But surging living costs, which many Kenyans blame on corruption, are uppermost in voters' minds.
In case we'll be having opportunity.
The government has spent 12.6 billion shillings providing food for hunger-stricken communities, but says it needs more. Kenyatta's preferred successor, veteran opposition leader Raila Odinga, has pledged to renegotiate terms for the debt to lengthen its maturity and free up cash to fund social interventions and development. His main opponent, Kenyatta's estranged Deputy President William Ruto, says he would reduce borrowing and stimulate small enterprises to help drive growth and generate revenues. The winner will inherit a daunting set of problems: mounting public anger over soaring living costs, rampant unemployment, runaway state debt, and a drought that's left millions of people going hungry.
The biggest issue for any voter right now in Kenya is the cost of living. The cost of living has skyrocketed, and it is making life extremely difficult for the average Kenyan. So that is over and above everything else, is the key issue, regardless of which side of the political divide you come from, that voters would wish to see addressed. The other issues which will be of concern are education, healthcare, being able to access affordable, quality healthcare, and also dealing with corruption. I think that's an issue which never really goes away, and one which many people are concerned about.
Most previous elections in Kenya have been dogged by violence and allegations of vote rigging, and investors are on the alert for any threat to the democratic process.
And staying with Kenya, the country's Chief Justice has waived a requirement for lawyers being admitted to the bar to wear the traditional ceremonial wigs because of supply issues. Lawyers and judges in Kenya and several other African countries still wear the traditional curled white wigs on formal occasions. Chief Justice Martha Koome says the high number of lawyers being admitted as advocates of the High Court had made it difficult for them to get the wigs. However, she says those wishing to wear the attire could still do so. In the meantime, more than 700 lawyers are due to be admitted to the bar in a ceremony to be presided by the Chief Justice on Friday. The United Nations mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo says it deeply regrets the decision of the government to expel its spokesman, Mathias Gilman, from the country. In a statement, the Congolese Minister of Foreign Affairs asked MONUSCO on Wednesday to do everything possible to ensure that Mr. Gilman leaves Congolese territory as soon as possible, inviting the mission to give the benefit of urgency to the request. Since July the 25th, angry demonstrators have ransacked and looted MONUSCO facilities in the DRC. 4 peacekeepers and 32 protesters have been killed in a week of demonstrations in at least 4 eastern towns, according to official reports. MONUSCO is one of the largest UN missions deployed in the world, with some 14,000 troops in several eastern cities. Since 2019, pro-democracy movements and some local elected officials have been calling for the departure of the mission. International Affairs analyst Mr. Paul Ejime joins us now for more on this. Thank you so much for joining us on Network Africa.
Thank you, Tony. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What do you make of the escalation regarding the UN mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo?
So I think the friction between UN peacekeepers and then local population underlines the kind of what you have when local population is complaining about governance. I think what has happened is that what the government has failed to do is now being passed on to the UN in the case of perhaps misplaced aggression. But of course, it also can be justified because they've been there for, I think, 22 years. And the conflict in the Congo is as old as history. our great grandparents, they will talk about Congo War and then the Katanga and all that. So it's not something of yesterday. And you will wonder, why would the UN have, actually it's up to 16,000 soldiers and policemen, mainly from Pakistan and Bangladesh and India and so on. But they've been there, and these people, insecurity remains. Just like you have in so many other countries, like in Mali, where they have, another group of about 14,000. So, and when this now coupled with the socioeconomic difficulties, I think now there is reached a boiling point, and they find the UN group as perhaps a target, But there is a justification in the fact that you cannot have about that number of people, a force, for 22 years, and they've not been able to bring peace. Rebels, the M23 and others, particularly in Kivu, Beni and Goma, all those areas have become ungovernable. And so, and that was the reason that the UN, MONUSCO are there, but they have not been able to end the insecurity. And so, and the population seeing them there every day, and they are not able to do what they had planned to do. But one can also understand that, given the mandate of the peacekeepers, even with the so-called Chapter 7 of of the the Article 39 that allows them to use force when there is threat to peace and security. They have not been able to do that because UN is not structured to take casualties. And so, why? Because these people are insured, and who are the insurers? The Western world. They are the ones insuring them. And then, if you kill any of them, you have to pay compensation. So that is why, after you hear the first shot, the next thing is that they are evacuated. So they don't have that good track record. You remember Rwanda in 1994? They pulled out, and then they were blamed. That pullout concept is what is blamed for the mass killing of about 800,000 people in Rwanda. So I think there's probably the need to look at how the UN does its peacekeeping, because it appears to be suffering some challenges.
All right, then, International Affairs Analyst Mr. Paul Ejime, thank you so much for your thoughts and analysis on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And over in South Africa, residents of Kagiso, a township west of Johannesburg, have set fire to homes thought to belong to illegal miners. Police on the ground and helicopters fired stun grenades and rubber bullets to disperse the angry mobs. Rocks, rubble and burning tires were also used to blockade major roads in the township. This comes nearly a week after 8 women were gang raped near a mine dump while filming a music video. Police in South Africa say more than 130 people have been arrested so far and are facing charges related to illegal possession of firearms and explosives. None of them have been charged for rape. The police are still waiting for DNA tests to be concluded. And so to come on the program, Kenya's Omanyala wins Commonwealth men's 100 meters gold. More in a moment. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. The former Nigeria Deputy President of the Senate, Ike Ekweremadu, and wife, Beatrice, have appeared at the Central Criminal Court, London, over allegations of organ harvesting. A third individual, Obina Obita, who is a practicing medical doctor in London, appeared alongside them. Our London correspondent, Juliana Olayinka, reports that Senator Ekweremadu has not been granted bail.
This deeply complex case involving the former Deputy Senate President did resume today at the Central Criminal Court, also known as the Old Bailey. The senator, alongside a third individual who was arrested by Metropolitan Police a couple of weeks ago, appeared in front of a judge via video link, while his wife Beatrice appeared in the dock. You'll remember that she was granted bail under very stringent conditions last week. And now, because of the complexities, it's worth just updating us on how we got here. The case began on the 5th of May this year, but didn't become known to the public until the 21st of June, when the senator and his wife were arrested on their way back into the United Kingdom at Heathrow Airport from a trip to Turkey. And now there have been lots of twists and turns on the way. I think the most notable twist is that this alleged victim is not a minor. He is, in fact, 21 years old, and this information came to light following an intervention from the Nigerian federal government. And another twist is that this 50-year-old doctor, Obina Obeta, from Southwark in South London, was also arrested by the Metropolitan Police on charges for conspiracy to traffic a child for the purpose of organ harvesting. And now, as to be expected, the public gallery was absolutely packed. However, I didn't see the two adult children who have been in attendance at previous hearings. Now, there is one human rights organisation called the Civil Rights Realisation and Advancement Network who has said that Ekweremadu's case in the UK constituted a grave assault on the 1961 Vienna Convention on diplomatic relations, as it failed to follow international standards and due procedures for trials of officials having diplomatic immunity. And now it has been revealed that whilst Mr. Ekweremadu was travelling into the United Kingdom, that he was bearing a diplomatic passport, which has led many people to ask why indeed he hasn't been placed on those same bail conditions as his wife Beatrice. No bail application was made on behalf of the senator, so we're not expecting to see them to appear in court until the 31st of October, with a trial potentially set for next year. Juliana Olayinka, reporting for Channels TV News in London.
The United Nations Children Fund says a lot still needs to be done to encourage girls to go to school in Nigeria, especially in the north. UNICEF Sokoto Chief of Field Office made the call during a media dialogue on the Girls' Education Project 3 in Sokoto State. UNICEF is calling on the Sokoto and Zamfara state governments to ensure the full implementation of the sustainability plan of Girls' Education Project 3 in order to increase their enrollment in schools.
Data from UNICEF shows that 418,614 girls enrolled in schools in Sokoto State, which represents 44%, while 545,711 got registered in Zamfara State, which represents 62% of the number. But the UNICEF Sokoto Chief of Field Office, Mariam Darwesh, emphasized the need for the government in both Sokoto and Zamfara states to allocate resources to ensure the sustainability of Girls' Education Project GEP3.
And this advocacy is not necessarily just to be brought forward by development partner, but we advocate with the government, state government, to support girl education programs. We also, as I said, development partners, communities, families, all of them to come together to make sure that they support girl education.
In her presentation tagged Why Educating Girls is Important, the General Manager, Education UNICEF, Sokoto Field Office, Miriam Maresu, highlighted the benefits of educating the girl child.
Education is an important building block and the most impactful way to empower girls. It influences critical human development outcomes. It reduces inequality. Educated girls are far more likely to be aware of issues surrounding violence and abuse and are less likely to become victims of domestic and sexual abuse or human trafficking.
While the Commissioner for Basic and Secondary Education, Sokoto State, Bello Abubakar, notes that the state has achieved a lot under the UNICEF program.
quality and system strategy, which increasing pupils enrollment, especially girls, awareness creation on importance of education, promoting learning environment, promoting planning and decision-making processes which support evidence-based scale of intervention.
The Girls' Education Project, GEP3, is funded by the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO, of the United Kingdom and implemented by the UNICEF in collaboration with the governments of the 6 GEP3 states.
To the Commonwealth Games, Nigeria's Chioma Onyekwere says her next target is to win gold in the women's discus event of the next World Championships and the African Games. Onyekwere, who was crowned the Commonwealth Games champion, described winning gold at her first attempt as a good testimony to her season. Onyekwere, who is the first Nigerian woman to clinch gold in discus, had a tournament to forget at the World Championships in Oregon after she failed to live up to expectations owing to injury.
I'll keep it next to my face. I won't kiss it. I think for me, it's being sure that I keep making those finals, be sure that I keep making those big steps in medaling and taking pretty much a seat at the table. So I think women's discus is heavily powered by the Europeans and the Americans. So I think me continuing to compete at the highest level, continuing to get those high marks, and continue to improve my world ranking will keep pushing Africa forward. I definitely want to add a world medal on this bag. It's going to be next year. We have Worlds in Hungary. So I'm hoping to make my 3rd world team and then also make the finals and be able to showcase my talent and get a medal as well. I think it would be, I don't know, the last time a Nigerian or even an African kind of medal for women's discus in the world stage. So I'm hoping to do that and have that push me forward for the Paris Olympics.
Meanwhile, Amechi Obiageri has described representing Team Nigeria at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham as a blessing. She surprised the bookmakers by winning a bronze medal in the women's discus event. While reacting to the achievement, the US-based athlete said she was excited to have made the team to the Games.
I am very inspired and very motivated. I think this is only the beginning for me, and having this medal is only just more motivation for me to keep pushing harder and to keep trying to be better than I am today. I feel very happy. Like it's so happy to see Nigeria being represented well. That it just makes me so happy, and every time I hear the anthem, it's just truly a blessing, and it's very happy to be up there representing Nigeria. Competing with Chioma is always a great experience. I think being able to see your teammate do well, that is always something I'm happy for. Like seeing Nigeria on the podium, whether it's me in 1st place, whether it's me in 3rd place, a win for one of us is a win for both of us, and I truly believe that when you see your teammate succeeding, it also means that you're succeeding.
And Commonwealth gold medalist Ferdinand Omanyala believes African sprinters can dominate on the world stage after 3 Africans featured in the final of the 100 meters. The Kenyan, who is the 8th fastest man of all time, clocked 10.02 seconds to strike gold ahead of continental rival Akani Simbine of South Africa. Sri Lankan sprinter Yupon Abe-Kun finished 100th of a second behind Simbine to take bronze ahead of Benjamin Azamati of Ghana.
It was a good race, and I came for the gold, and I'm happy that I've gotten the gold, so it's a blessing. Yeah, it's always been a challenge ever since, and I'm happy that we're taking Africa to the next level. It's hard work. I mean, like, we have to work hard for this. It's not like you just wake up and come and run. We've been working hard ever since, and I thank my team for everything. It's a good thing because I hope that we take this to the world scene, that Africans can just also come and be in the final of the World Championships. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm happy that we were there in the finals today, and it's a good thing. We're not done with the Commonwealth yet because we have the 4x1 relay. So after that, we'll plan. And next year, having the World Champs, that's the big one for next year. So we'll go down and work for it.
And over in Uganda, a professional sign language interpreter, Susan Ananda, has set up an online television channel that bridges information gap for deaf people. She was inspired to do this after learning of a tragic incident that happened to a deaf man during the pandemic.
When Susan Ananda heard a deaf man had been shot and wounded in Uganda for breaking a curfew during the pandemic for which his family said he knew nothing about, she resolved to set up an online television channel for deaf people.
He didn't know what was happening in the country. He didn't know that there was curfew, and he was moving beyond curfew hours. So when he was moving, the people who are moving around, the security guys, called upon him to explain why he was moving beyond curfew hours. And unfortunately, because he did not hear, he kept on moving. So he was shot.
Late last year, she teamed up with a deaf friend, Simon Iroku, and after winning a grant, they founded Science TV, which runs news bulletins for deaf people, delivered by deaf people.
What I'm envisaging is that the future of communication must be inclusive. This implies that we have to ensure that everyone in the community should be able to understand the message you are passing on. And we believe that if information is inclusive for everyone, even us as deaf people will be able to benefit from it.
Slightly over 1 million people in Uganda, out of a total population of about 45 million, have a hearing disability, and most of them have limited access to television news due to a lack of sign language services on established channels. The news station, which made its first broadcast in April and employs 8 staff, including 4 deaf anchors, operates from a studio in a Kampala suburb. In a typical broadcast on Science TV Uganda, the news is read by 2 deaf anchors and simultaneously signed by a sign language interpreter, going slowly to match the anchor's pace, while the screen also carries subtitles.
We want to have sports, we want to have talk shows, we want to have news, daily news, where we can have stories that impact, that inform the deaf persons what is happening in the country daily.
For now, Science TV Uganda produces only 1 weekly news roundup on Saturdays due to financial, staffing and technical constraints, but Ananda said it had ambitions to expand its offer. Up to about 800 viewers have watched individual bulletins so far, and the numbers are growing.
And that's the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Teniola Shiboale.